Amidst the Rothaar Mountains in northeastern North Rhine-Westphalia lies one of the state's pearls, Wittgenstein country. Far from any highway, a princely family seat reigns high over the town of Bad Berleburg.
The Princes of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg.
For more than 750 years, the house has watched over the entire region. And we've also brought a little something for the head of the household. Nature is the object of all his affection, particularly the black stork on the verge of extinction. To attract them, he's specially created a few habitats here. For one of them, we've also brought some breakfast. With second-in-command hereditary Prince Gustav, we're waiting for his father, Richard Casimir Karl August Robert Constantin, Prince of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg. Warmest greetings to you. Thank you so very much for having us.
Today I'll be doing something I'd never do otherwise.
This should also be something special. I've also brought you something for your black stork.
Oh, I think this is too much, really. Let's get stuck in. I think so too.
He may yet live. For over 40 years, Prince Richard has led the family business. He is son-in-law to King Frederick IX of Denmark, whose daughter he married in 1968, Princess Benedict of Denmark. His passion is for his family and property. He owns one of Germany's largest forest properties, with 13,000 hectares to call his own. This is paradise for various kinds of wildlife. Barely having any human contact, they also appear in the daytime.
My dogs are licking you to death.
For father and son, going off-road is all in a day's work on high.
Yes, we're driving past my hobbies.
So what are your hobbies?
Water and making ponds for toads and frogs. This is where the black stork does its squatting too. They build a lot of nests. With storks, love comes from what they bring from the branches, which she always has to drag, so she can stand there and build it. When she's feeling mean, she grabs the branch and drops it, so he then can get another.
So, like some fool, he just gets another?
That's right. We men do that all the time when in love. No offense.
Up to 6 breeding pairs come back to Wittgensteiner country a year. Thanks to the work of father and son who love to dig ponds for them.
We get on very well as we're incredibly close. We see each other daily, drive through the forest together. We're both in the office, and we've never argued over business. Total harmony between us. We also think alike.
About the pond, have you laid it down only recently?
It's brand new. I don't call it a pond, it's a watering hole.
These 3 statues that are really...
We've got 2 more at home.
So that's 5 Labradors.
Yes, this idiot's gone and brought another. No, don't you idiot me. Who was it ordering it 2 years ago and really wanting one? Oh, now you're blaming me for this. Sure I would, in a second.
The prince's love isn't only for feathered friends. Above all, Berleburg dogs lead a life others could only dream of. In terms of water quality, however, probably.
When I was engaged to my wife, I went to a pond like this. This other one is larger. So I said we should go swimming. She looked at me saying, "What, in this dirty water? I'm not swimming in there."
Although, as a Scandinavian, I'd have thought...
Just look at the water. There's algae. Were it not there, it's far cleaner than the bathwater at home.
Then again, it didn't look clean enough for your wife. Too cold?
No, I don't bathe in such water.
Princess Benedict has bigger fish to fry. Representing her sister, the Queen of Denmark, she's involved in the nation's official business, which resulted in her meeting Prince Richard. Yes, that was actually Queen Beatrix's wedding in Holland to Klaus. A veritable who's who, including nobility, were guests to the Amsterdam wedding of Beatrix to the German noble Klaus von Augsburg in March 1966. I think he asked me to dance, and yes, we spoke to each other in Swedish, of course. More or less secretly, actually, I came over. I was going to Paris and stopped in Cologne, where he caught up with me and through the mountains to Berleburg. I thought it took a while, and where are we going now? Well, of course, it's quite different compared to Denmark. Somehow typical of the state, a royalist delegation with some fanfare set out to catch a glimpse of the bride and groom at their wedding in Denmark.
Berleburg and Friedensburg together, not unlike Germany and Denmark shaking hands.
We know the prince very well. I'm Berleburg born and bred, and we've all grown very fond of him. He's so unaffected and easy to talk to. With our Richard, it's unique. Richard definitely will come out.
Perhaps he'll even say hello to us. Berleburg, Richard, Richard. The aunt looks good. That's just what we came here for. When she married here at Berleburg in 1968, Her Royal Highness drove more visits than ever to the museum here at Castle Berleburg, which the numbers back up. In the following years, numbers kept rising up to some 10,000 people, which naturally had something to do with the Danish king's daughter marrying here. The Danish connection has become quite an important one, as Bad Berleburg's twin town is there. This is just great. Her Royal Highness, Princess Benedicta, has ennobled Berleburg all the more.
With the honeymoon over, it was time to go back to Berleburg. Princess Benedict gladly accepts her duties representing Denmark to this day, with Prince Richard always by her side. Berleburg, however, is only sometimes impressed by the red carpet and ladies at dinner. He lives down to earth.
When I was engaged, my wife's youngest sister came over to become Queen of Greece with her husband, and we ate crab. What I wanted to say was, I was so drunk, I fell from my chair by the Queen. Down I went. I came back up and went, oh, sorry. And fell back down again on the other side. Not good. It really wasn't.
But the crab dinner was a success.
Oh yes, absolutely soused. Gustav? There's still a large stone left. Gustav?
Prince Gustav, have you ever got drunk whilst eating crab?
I think there's still a large stone left. Not yet. Willingly, that is.
Hopefully it wasn't in Amelienborg or Fredensborg, but at yours instead.
Not at my place.
He is very honest and has a big heart. He can be very gentle in his hard yet soft shell. As I've said, he has this wonderful sense of humour. I couldn't live with a man without one who couldn't laugh also at himself. Castle Berleburg was erected in the 13th century. Nowadays, it's used privately, with a large part of it made available, however, for public tours. Are these photos of your son's baptism?
That's right.
Queen Ingrid of Denmark?
Indeed.
Your mother-in-law?
And there's the king.
Is that Queen Margaret?
I believe so, yes.
And there you are. Prince Gustav was born on the 12th of January 1969 and baptized in the castle's chapel. Were you also baptized with water from the Jordan then?
No, not us.
From the Eder?
From the Ouderbåren, in fact. That's the river the water comes from.
What's it like when your relatives are over from Denmark? Does all your staff somehow stand to attention, or is it just another day at the office?
No, nothing changes. No, not at all. Whether we've come together here or in Denmark, when they come here, they're even more relaxed. This we've well known since we were little, so it's nothing new. It would be different if somebody hadn't been seen for years, just on and off. It's not like that. We very often do meet. This is normal.
You've been present at several celebrations, of course, in Denmark. There's just been your Aunt Ruby's Jubilee. How do you feel when you're there at these big functions?
So that's normal too, as we've grown up with it. When young, we'd be taken along to all the events, and when you get older, you take it on the chin all the more. It is difficult for those coming into the family. They just have to, well, you expect them to be nervous, and you then just have to take that from them. It's bloody well organised in Denmark anyway. Yes, it is not de rigueur when suddenly, as a small child, I hated it when there'd be a shooting weekend here, and of course an onslaught of Danish photographers would come with their big lenses.
Not to take photos of the event, but you instead?
To take photos of us instead. I always had to flee, or actually did. Just dreadful. That was later on. At 5, I hadn't begun drinking beer. Not just yet. Going up? My father always gave me beer and said, "Hey, try this." If you just come here?
A hunting accident?
No.
Woodworm?
Breakfast was being served here, and in came a German prince with an English pistol across his chest. There were tables full of people from a Sunday morning hunt. Then, unnoticed, I pulled the pistol from its open holster and fired it over people's heads. So my father wanted to see whether it was in fact loaded. Yes, and I quickly put it back. It was an ancient English gun full of smoke and what have you. Everybody was looking at this prince thinking, still trying to be clever. It was all so dumb, but went well, all told.
Did your parents then ensure you were raised and grew up almost normally?
Well, you might imagine that. Yes, my mother was very, very strict about us eating sensibly with a knife and fork.
Prince Gustav is the eldest of 3 children. He has 2 sisters, one of whom is Princess Alexandra. I'd say my mother has etiquette, which she's very much brought to the table. Her cuisine is more refined, and she greatly values food, writing menus every day and thinking carefully about what's eaten. She's kept menu books since first coming to Berleburg, I believe. So that is something really big she came with. And as I've mentioned, the etiquette and conduct and so on, I know that when my cousins on the father's side came, they'd always be afraid of misbehaving because I'd say my mother set up such an incredible system that rather tired her. So has the family ever lived within the castle grounds here?
Yes, my grandmother. She renovated it in 1912. She put up 2 turrets and put steps in, quite unnecessarily, and cost her a hell of a lot of money to maintain as well. She completely altered the castle, installing central heating and having 13 bedrooms built, all in that year.
Do you live here today, Prince Gustav?
I'm living in the castle. I took on my grandmother's apartment. Natalie explained when I lured her back here after she'd been away 11, 13 years, saying, "I'm coming, if you promise me we'll build a riding hall, stables and so on. But I wouldn't like to sleep a night under that roof of yours.
Princess Natalie is the youngest daughter. In the castle's own stables, she trains with her horses every day. She's the cream of the crop in international horse riding. My mother once brought me in 1985 to the European Dressage Championships in Copenhagen. It was there I fell in love with it. I'd already told myself that this was it. This was what I wanted to do. I wanted also to do what they were doing. In 2008, her enthusiasm for the sport won her a bronze medal in dressage at the Beijing Olympics. Yeah. Go on. Stretch, stretch. I'm also happy about her deserved successes. Her horse hasn't been given to her on a silver plate, as I say. But she's been riding him since he was 5, I think. And he's learned all he can at the highest level of dressage. I must admit, she does have such a gift for it. She has a real feel for it, which is nice because it earns her a lot of respect. Her greatest successes have been on Digby's back. This 15-year-old gelding was bred in-house. Let's say he's king of the stables, and boy, does he know it. Oh, you've got star quality, you're welcome to it. Go on, say please. He definitely knows. The other horses, when they come here, get their backside pinched, or if there's one standing there that I'd ridden, he'll pull his ears right back and show the horse, sort of, he already is a bit of a character, this horse. Even with a lot of people there, he's acting like they're all here to look at him, so he's got a great attitude towards sports. Aren't you a little beggar? Yes, you are. That's how we know each other. Castle Berleburg is a princely abode with some curiosities, like a record-breaking deer antler as a wedding gift from Greenland's people, or grandfather's favourite pony. It still is tradition in Germany that in former princely houses, the head of the house is actually called a prince.
That's exactly what I wanted to tell you, in fact. It's crazy how unpopular I am. According to the laws of the time, kings, princes, grand dukes, the titles no longer exist. They became part of the name, meaning this business with kings, etc. died out.
So according to the 1919 law on names, your name is Richard, Prince of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg. Prince is part of your name.
Part of my name, yes. Everybody calling themselves a prince these days can feel free to complain like that. But if you sign everything prince, you're in a bit of a pickle for using the wrong name. They've all had problems, all as they are.
Maintaining this castle probably calls for a great deal of money you need to invest in it. What sources of income have you got to finance this castle?
Well, there's our forest. The only thing we have left in the forest now was a quarry. A nice little addition, but that's gone. Many years ago, I was at school with an unpleasant teacher in the classroom saying, "Children, do you think it's fair?" My mother was still alive at the time. "For an old lady to be living in this house?"
All of them said, no, we don't?
I interrupted him, however, and said, guess what? I'm giving you that place. He thought I was mad. It's yours, you can have it. However, you have to prove you earn 500,000 marks net, because that's what you have to earn per annum for this castle's upkeep.
Every year?
Every year. He still didn't believe it, right? You understand? I said, not knowing what he was thinking. He thought he was probably dealing with the Berleburg Asylum.
The forest stays at the heart of all economic considerations. To manage 13,000 hectares and to secure their future, Prince Richard maintains his own forestry division.
In one generation of someone's professional life, one can only follow the forest to a point. Anybody trying to massively and brutally change tact and totally overturn business goals is destined to fail. In fact, when we plant things or whatever, we just hope at some point there'll be a forester going, heck, I don't know who's who, but it doesn't matter. Somehow they managed it quite well and did well, leaving us something we can still work with. At the same time, of course, there are advantages. If you actually make huge mistakes, it's almost as like they're not noticed. There's something calming about that too.
The family's been living off their forest for 300 years. Forest care and timber harvests make for a proven, well-planned system.
For us, sustainability has been around 300 years. It's not only our families, but all the families to have had this forest thought. So because we think generationally.
Is it because, in essence, you create a basis for life, for future generations?
Trees need time to grow. They really do. Spruce trees take 80 years for them to be as big as they are. 80 years. 120 for a beech in the right corner, but 160 for us, so you have to think about that.
There are about 35 workers caring for the woodland. Master Forester Akim Hischer is Works Council Chair of the Wittgenstein-Berleburg Treasury, as the family business is called officially.
Would you look at that? The whole group is here. In professional circles, it's also called a playgroup.
Playgroup? Because they've all been let loose?
Yes, and now they're being educated.
How long per day are you with these young things around forest?
8 hours.
Come rain or shine?
Yes.
How long have you been involved with this?
I've been here 17 years so far. I was also trained here before I went somewhere else for a bit, and then came back here. That was in 1995, so 17 years now. His father also used to come with us. Terrible man. So did my grandfather and his father before him.
Is this the 4th generation we're out here?
His son's also working here.
What's your son's job?
He's a forester in the Gurkhausen area. Would he like to be a master? Yes. A great family man. Oh, thank you. What actually is important to us is, as a forestry firm in such structurally weak areas, the forest areas generally are because, apart from some tourism and perhaps like Berleburg, there isn't much happening as a health spot. We remain real pillars of rural development here by employing people and by providing raw materials. In turn, this creates so many jobs in the secondary sector at the sawmills. This often goes forgotten.
Do other forestry farms do this as well, for them to nonetheless train the forester?
No, that's not what not all of them do. Mr. Rule greatly values the fact we are a training firm, with which Gustav and I very much agree. Just look at these boys. I'm having fun with them, and they're all a great bunch.
Do you think it makes a difference whether it's a state-owned or family business?
It absolutely does. It's much more personal for us. That's what I wanted to say. As Prince Richard says, it is very personal here. Of course, in a state-run company, guidelines change all the time. That means 1 minute they think the spruce is great, then mostly the beech, and then the oak or whatever. Here, we work, we manage really long-term. Is it good when it falls onto other tree trunks? Very favourably ergonomically.
See you soon and all the best, yes? Bye.
Cheers, guys. Remember me to Big Daddy.
Not only does the forest inspire every day, but also its inhabitants. Be they large or small. On the Wittgenstein estate, Vincent, the European counterpart to American bison, live in a release enclosure.
I'm not passionate about bison, however. It's just that I found them. Other people deal with them.
How did you come to reintroduce Vincent here?
I was really badly annoyed with Miss Hearn.
She was Environment Minister back then.
Agriculture and Environment Minister. She'd always talk about lynxes, all manner of beasts and wolves, what we should be having. I then said to Mr. Rule, what would it be like to have Wisdom here? Slam. They chew everything up.
In 2003, Prince Richard came up with the idea of settling them in. By now, there's already been offspring.
It's crazy how nice and lovely they are, if lethargic.
They are, in fact, threatened with extinction.
That's it. And they would be the first time that, in Germany and Europe as a whole, out with Poland, that is, Wisdom run free, which they should.
Letting Wisdom run free raises fear and concern amongst authorities and tourists, which experts say is unfounded.
We tried pretty much everything to egg the animals on into showing aggression, and they're just not having it. They are peaceful herbivores, but they'll absolutely take on any attacking wolf or bear with its horns. Like other herbivores, they show the normal flight response to humans.
Other herbivores lead quite a tranquil life in Wittgenstein country. Only once a year must they fear for their lives.
For us, it just is so important, for forestry reasons, to control wildlife number, to avoid interference somehow with forestry yields, so there's no conflict. This is very important to us. Therefore, we must hunt, given we're different sorts of game here.
Hunting, however, is getting harder for forest owners. Lawmakers are regulating game conservation more and more, but not always productively, as the princes have found.
He'd like us to be the first state with an ecological hunting law. Hunting would be abolished and animals shot dead only if necessary. For instance, that means they shouldn't be fed. What is the game up here meant to eat on? The low mountain ranges. We get 2 or 3 feet of snow in the winter, where the land is barren anyway. What should they eat? Our trees, which is our livelihood. We're not seeing ourselves rigorously confronted with laws not allowing us to do that.
Nonetheless, the princes most prioritise care for their game.
The game will come if you leave them be. They become diurnal and you get to see them every day. You can see them in broad daylight, round hours. How come? We're not shooting them. We just shoot for 6 days on. It's called batu hunting, i.e. rounding up. We shoot the whole kill, apart from the big deer. They're quiet all year round. Hunting is part of our country's culture and it prevails here. There's openness about it as well. I think that anybody willing to uncritically accept factory farming for cheap schnitzel or steak shouldn't, in fact, sniff at hunting if carried out sensibly or professionally.
Is the hunting business actually worth it? What with marketing and processing the game, financially as well? Is this one source of your income?
Must I answer that?
You should. I don't know the answer, so...
No, to be quite honest with you, the way we hunt is extraordinarily costly. We've got 3 professional hunters, whose salaries alone are high. We have to house them and hire them over the winter, a lot of money.
So in principle, this is also one of your passions, from the point of view of guaranteeing, if you will.
I wouldn't like to see animals just frolicking, particularly when they can't be seen.
One of these professional hunters lives in Hommerkhausen, a forester's house the Wittgensteins own.
What's special here is definitely the size. All told, of the property, so that's pure luck as far as the game is concerned. In essence, this is because game management can take place uniformly over a large area. We have managed hunting area of 8,000 hectares out of the property's 13,000 in total, which actually makes the whole thing so unique. This is ideal, in particular for red deer. With their large migration movements, they don't have to move through 10 areas. They stay in hours. And like I said, for the same, that's ideal. Are you going?
You coming too?
Yes, of course. I'm afraid of the old woman.
By old, do you mean your wife, or is that the dog, the mother?
The old girl's not here. It's my wife's birthday today, so I have to treat her right.
Sure, being afraid of the old woman. Hello, doggies. Yeah, come on, over here.
That is a brave one you've got there.
God, you're the brave one. Yes, aren't you lovely? No, you're just strangling me too.
We breed German wirehead pointers here. Every so often, we need a larger dog that can catch up with a piece of game or catch them if necessary. Your shoe's coming off. Not just the shoe. I can do all kinds of retrieval work with it, which makes these dogs stand out. They've got nerves of steel and their posture's robust. They have short fur and are also easy to care for.
No, off. Get out of it. They still can't hear, of course. Isn't he just a lovely creature? At Hommerkhausen, Prince Richard also remembers less than fun times.
I was sent here with my brother, who was 2 or 4 or 6 years younger. We sat in the ground floor cellar where the door is, and the Americans started dropping bombs, blowing up the entire house.
In early 1945, US Army soldiers marched into North Rhine-Westphalia.
Around the house took 40 hits. The house took 2. At night, whenever there was a plane heard and bombs seen again, we sat there amongst the potatoes and could, we cried ourselves. We were too young to die. We dug deeper and deeper into the potatoes.
Most Germans here did not find the US advance liberating. However, the Princes Wittgenstein had always been critical of the Third Reich.
In Berleburg, when the Nazis came to power, Wittgenstein was very pro-Nazi, so the party had already an incredibly high support here. For whatever reason, we don't know, Prince Gustav Albrecht managed to buy the Jewish cemetery and privatised it, which certainly ensured it survived Nazi onslaughts of the time. Unlike others, it wasn't destroyed. Today, it's again well looked after. It was a great foresight that he, like all the Berleburg princes in the house, was not a member of the Nazi party. He really did manage.
By no means did this mean that the present head of house's father, Gustav Albrecht, avoided serving at the Russian front.
He was in Russia for a long time before going missing in '43, about which not all that much is known. His late wife, who died a few years ago, Princess Margareta, kept a low profile too, as many war widows did. She just hadn't the time anymore, with it being so bad for her to discuss it.
Do you still have memories of your father?
Some yes, but not many. There's where we'd swim down to the Audubon and so on. That I only remember because I stepped in cowpat and fell on my arse into it. Then they got me out of the car. At some point, his youngest brother was there. Then I was driven home with my head in the car and everything else hanging out of the window. I was screaming like mad and they laughed themselves silly. So they didn't want someone in the car whose arse fell in cowpat, which today I understand. Follow me. It's funny, I forgot this. This is my grandmother, and guess who this is? My father. She always wanted daughters and never got any, so they dressed him, with his long hair, like a girl.
Remaining at battle, his father shared his ancestors' fate.
For 5 generations, nobody had seen their eldest son's 21st birthday. That affected me until my son turned 21. My father is the first to actually witness his son's 21st birthday in 3 generations. And as soon as he was, what age were you when I got under that horse? 3 years old? Yeah, I could have died. That was quite something.
You had a bad riding accident.
The horse had reversed right onto me, which wasn't nice either. I've always been lucky. The bomb fell about 60 feet from me. That horse, had it fallen an inch more, I'd have died. Otherwise, never anything serious. Touch wood. Then I fell sick, which I survived, even though I wasn't given much chance. It's what the doctors thought, yes. What? The doctors thought that.
In 2003, a 67-year-old Prince Richard fell ill with a rare and very aggressive form of cancer. You always hear of people getting cancer and think, oh God, but it's remote when you do. When it gets very close to you suddenly, your experience of it is very, very different. You're so afraid, as were we for my father, our father, of him not making it at all. That kind of chemotherapy is horrid. Son Gustav gave up his job with an English bank and came home to his castle.
We then took care of it, and afterwards I felt, yeah. Then people were telling me there was we don't know the outcome.
We've really tried to make everything as pleasant as can be for my father. My brothers supported him a lot, actually taking it all on his shoulders for my father to recover in peace, and it's, as it were, the plan has worked out, thank God.
I was put into the car and then shot my last deer, if you will. He was already over it. When not throwing up, no, he was already over it. Well, almost. Well, it was over a year ago. Oh, that's right. That is right.
Today, Prince Richard runs the family firm alongside son Gustav, who will inherit the estate one day. He's fully recovered and is doing what he's done his whole life. He lives nature. That's how it is. When you see him digging in the forest, you wouldn't at all think he's getting any older. It's like he's still 30 or 40 and has done this all his life. You can sense, however, he wants to create living space for nature that he just wants to treat well. He goes into the forest every day, once a morning, once an evening. Breathing nature, it seems, is his lifeblood. And digging ponds, of course.
That's why we have so many species of bird here that are no longer elsewhere. We've got the black stork here, with a number of breeding pairs secured, the kingfisher somewhere else. Here, it's common, but you'd be delighted to see one elsewhere. We've practically the whole range of native fish species here at ours. Sculpin, lamprey, bitterling, sunbleak, all these animals nobody knows about, but even if they are below the surface of the water, they're still a crucial part of our ecosystem here. I think Prince Richard's achievements, despite his great resistance, really are great.
Caring for property, a life's work for generations. However, this property exists as a loan, so to speak, and should be passed on to the next generation in as good a condition as it was received, at least.
As it were, we live. You might say we live in a bit of paradise. We do live in paradise. There are few who have it as good as us, you must admit. Father and son, that's right. No, just living here, whatever. No, you're right. Living here amongst nature is one of the most beautiful things there are. And part of that is us having a lot of property. You can
keep out of each other's way.
Look over there. A goose is coming up swimming. Didn't see us.
Castle Berleburg in Wittgenstein country. Nature's beauty and its owner's straightforward friendliness have made a deep impression on me. Being with you has been a great pleasure.
Pleasure's mine.
You take care. I'm looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, please do. You're always so welcome.
Thank you.
That did all go very well.